stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's an ordinance, I can show you the ordinance in there.
Okay, we are
So it's a
officially,
good thing that I'm reading those
Yeah, it
ordinances.
is good.
officially, we are at
I'll
seven
take the binder
PM.
back, but then as we go through there.
As a matter of fact, I think I was sending Sylvia the texts as I found stuff. Am I right? About the sewer and storm and all that, that somebody else is supposed to be paying for it, not us? Because we're paying for it already in our fees. Remember the texts I was sending you Sunday? So that you
yes,
can
okay.
pull it and we have documentation, I gave you the invoice numbers, that way we have record of it.
Okay, well, we're gonna start, this is now 7 PM. In attendance are Scott Schwab, Dave Engel, Sylvia Hannikin, and Rita Darrow. And it is our first finance meeting concerning the 2015 budget. And tonight, we're focusing on, in the agenda, on Scott basically laying down the budget, which is the budget, Scott, if I understand it, that's been provided by the mayor and the departments.
All the department heads send what they wanted, and there's in the capital section, you'll see their requests that they put in there.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's in the expense tab, and from Mike Ladd to Mo Darwish to emails from the mayor saying how he wanted the legal
Okay.
department to be budget, and then some of the minor things in his own
Okay.
line items. So.
So we have basically the proposal by the mayor for the next year's budget.
Yes,
Okay.
and all the department heads.
Right.
Right.
Okay. I think we probably should start off maybe talking about the revenue. The revenue is obviously what drives everything, and the revenue tab is the first one.
Yep.
And I think one of the key things in talking with Ms. Hannikin, finance chair, is what's the most important thing is where were we gonna, because income tax is almost 70%, if not more, of our total general fund revenue coming in. So, and with that reduction of the 1/4% that we got last year, it was amazing. Because Rita, regional income tax, estimated we were gonna be $1.3 million below our collections from 2013. So as you know, we've been slightly under, only 1 or 2% throughout the year, but this last September that we just got, actually the October
First.
email,
Yes.
we're actually 0.8%, almost 1% over than last year, and which is about $56,000, and that can be found in the far back in the summary page, and if you look, you'll see that standard Rita reports, and I circled, it's on page 5 of 5, and you'll see the year-to-date monthly distribution report, and then you'll see how much we collected this year, $7,433,000 compared to $7,374,000, and that's 0.8% higher, which is equal to $58,799.
Is this it, Scott?
No, it's this one.
Huh?
It's all the way past
Oh,
the
it's
yellow.
way past, I thought I was past the yellow.
What color tab is it in?
It's in the yellow summary.
It's towards the end of the yellow. So.
Yeah.
Okay, it's haircut.
So
I don't know, maybe I'm not
that's
finding
the good news, and go past that yellow summary.
Is it right here?
It's on the
No,
other
that's
side of the
healthcare.
yellow. Yeah, it's on the other side of the
That's
yellow.
healthcare.
It's two before you get to the red one in the summary. There's a red,
Yeah, there's a
very
red page.
towards the end.
Okay, right here?
No,
No?
Why don't you just open her up and show her where?
Right here?
yeah. And then page
Oh,
5
two.
of 5, there's 2
Okay,
of
5,
5.
5, okay, gotcha.
2 of 5.
Sorry, Scott.
That's all right. And see, here's what we collected this year, 7.4, here's what we collected last year, and this is the amount, 0.8, so 58,000. So basically, it's unbelievable news, and as Rita has been saying, the net profits of 5 or 6 major companies that are here is really driving it, and they estimate, well, they don't estimate, they tell me it's over $450,000 in net profits from last year that we collected. So that's offset the actual, part of the actual reduction that they were factoring in, and just the natural boost of the withholding of the economy. So
And my job transferred here, so that's gonna.
that's
Yes,
huge.
that'll be extra money.
There's another pothole fix.
That's right. We have lots of money coming through here. And, well, the interesting thing about this is that we only have 2 more months to report. And when Scott was doing the estimate for how we would end the year, he was using the most conservative numbers. So if you wanna,
Yeah, that summary report, you're still in the summary section, it's just past that blue tab, and this has been updated. You've probably seen this in the council reports a couple times where we've been tracking the past 9 years' history of how much we've gotten from Rita, and this is total amounts received. So when you looked at that, if you could see the October collections are in at 669, 786, and I left November, December blank, but I took, when you flip the page,
right,
I took the lowest numbers that we ever received in both those months, at 469 to 429, and I just factored those in, saying that even if the lowest amounts come in for this year, that will still come up with, the total amount would be, where was that?
7433, I think.
No, it's 7433, it's that same page, it's 8,332,139.
Oh, right, 8333.
So that's our estimate for year end.
Yes,
Wow.
very conservative, because I'm saying that
Yes, it
really,
is very
four
conservative.
69 to 429, I'm thinking that we're gonna hit 500, so I'm thinking we're gonna hit 8.4. And when you look last year on that first page, we hit 8.6, 8,607,000. So, having said that though, that's not total money for general fund, because 1/4% of that, of the 2% goes to the rec center, and so when you factor that out, it comes to $1,053,000, and so that's why our estimate for general fund is roughly $7,278,000, and that's the number, you know, that I'm sure we're gonna hit $7,004,000, but in talking with the finance chair, where do we wanna be next year? And try to be conservative, and hopefully the economy keeps growing, and we decided, both mutually, that $7.3 million, and if you go back to that revenue, that's what we're trying to predict. That's how we came up with the $7.3 million on that first page, it's the second one down, on the revenue tab.
Is the mayor happy with that estimate?
And I haven't talked to the mayor.
Okay, sorry.
So, and again, then when you take, because we transfer that much, or because we transfer money out of the general fund to support the other departments, that's why, you know, we support the 401 capital fund, and then we support the street department with over $1 million every year too. So that's why it's critical, and then of course, police and fire all come out of the general fund with all the other miscellaneous things, and so,
Well, that's the vast majority of the money that we are going to be using is in the general fund. So. And the major money that is not in general fund, there is,
So Scott, on page 3, in the general fund total,
okay,
on
on the revenue,
the revenue,
okay,
I mean, that's gonna be the total amount, right?
the 10,853,000.
Yes,
Yeah, that's still general fund,
okay, I know,
okay,
okay, I just wanted to make sure,
yeah.
I'm just nothing.
And then if you look, the estimate from 2014, which is still out, my earliest estimate was still 10,144,000, but when we revised, because we've already collected, we revised that income tax that we already are recognizing, and I put that $800,000 in there, it comes out to 10,944,000, and so the difference is only $91,560. And again, I'm using that 7.3 figure million on the income tax, and we very well could be higher on that, and I'm sure we will be on the Rito if everything else pans out.
well, the reason we could be higher is we're estimating the last 2 months
At the
with
very
the
lowest,
lowest numbers.
Yeah,
Which is where we should.
yeah.
Yes, and that's basically what Scott and I discussed, and I think that's the most reasonable thing to do. We are gonna come in higher probably, and therefore our carryover is going to change upward.
Which means we could do more capital, probably.
Right.
That's great.
So this budget though, if we skip back into this budget and then go into the expense portion of it, we can go to, let's see, what the ending page on general fund. page 9 is the ending
Yep.
balance for general fund. And again, you'll see all these transfers on 101-321, and that's the movement of money that's going out. Transfer 201, that $1 million, transfer to 401 capital, 360, and then I'm leaving in the same amount of money that we transferred this year for 533 for all those road full depth repairs. That was a big lump sum, that was an add-on appropriation. So when I started doing the analysis of how much can we spend for 401 and safely maintain, if we wanna try to get back to that $2.5 million carryover, I was just playing with the numbers and I said, well, let's just stick with that and see what we can do, because right off the bat, I knew that Mo Darwish with the Route 82 widening project was gonna consume a large portion at 533, he wants 473. So we're talking $60,000 in excess that we might have if it comes in at 473, like he said, and that was the final phase where he was going for the grant, and we were gonna maybe get 50% of it, but I highly doubt it, in my opinion, and he already said that we needed to budget it for this fall.
We need to budget the 470, and we did, right?
Well, we did a fiscal certificate, but we
Right.
didn't put it on the official thing.
Okay.
But this, if we do that on this appropriation, then I'll obviously take that and reduce that amount, because that'll chomp away, and it won't be used in 2015, I mean in 14.
Is that for Route 82?
Yeah, that widening.
Okay, nothing with three.
Now, this is the widening,
Right.
phase 3 widening.
All the
Right,
way
I
to
know.
Shepherd, yeah. They
Shepherd,
did the property acquisition, it just
Uh-huh.
finished within the last couple of weeks.
okay,
And then, so this portion will be the actual construction and the sewer part of it. And then-
Okay.
And they'll actually break ground, if everything goes right, they wanna go out to bids, and they wanna actually break ground this spring. If they had gotten the OPWC, they couldn't even start till July 1st, and I don't even think they're allowed to even go out and bid until July 1st, so it would've been a late fall project.
okay.
And I don't know if that was some of his, I don't think he chased that money as hard as that he could have, so that's just my opinion on the things that went down, what I saw. So,
Okay.
but,
So at this point, we do not know whether that grant is going to be applied or not, so.
right,
So we're gonna possibly be,
Hi. Hello.
yes, hi. So we'll possibly be at, the maximum amount there then.
right. Yeah, so if we did get the grant, you know, it's 470 divided by 2, so what is it, $240,000 we could
Right.
save.
So-
And
so
then we
what-
could put that to other
So
use.
why hasn't he done it? Has anybody asked? I mean, that's what he's getting paid for to do, right? Isn't GPP
Yeah.
getting paid to do this?
I know that there was a last minute problem, or they didn't really apply until a couple of days or the day before.
2 hours
Well, that's
before the
same
deadline.
with the
2 hours.
full depth repairs. They didn't do anything, you know, we gave them the money, and they didn't go out and do anything about that either.
Well, I know
So,
that meeting
I-
that we had with Mo was taped because it was, you know, Diane Calta was there, I was there, Mike Ladd, Diana, the mayor. And, in that discussion, you know, he was trying to say, Mayor, you guys told me don't go out for the thing, and we all looked at each other like, we were in that meeting at ODOT down there, and
Okay.
nobody ever told you not to go for that grant. That was just, you know, as far
Why would we not?
ill-conceived as
Yeah.
what I could ever think. Why would we not tell you to apply for a grant to save us $270,000,
Right.
$240,000?
Why was 3 take, was that normal?
Because everybody was like, Mo was telling us, you know, blaming us, well, we didn't go out because this, you know, that we had told them we would get the money. And see, early on, if you remember last fall when they did the 271 ramp,
Yes.
they wanted me to go for $1 million, you know,
Right.
at that time, and I said, you just better stick with the $500,000 SIB loan and don't worry about this other loan. You know,
Alright.
and they said, well, we'll just open up the account and we'll be approved for $1 million, and then if we don't get the grant, we'll have that money in the SIB loan to then take out if we don't get that grant. I said, council's never gonna go for $1 million, they don't like the ramp to begin with, and now you wanna push $1 million on them at the same time? I said, it's not gonna go. I said, go with the 271, $500,000 ramp, get that, apply for the loan, and then at that point, our cost should only be $270,000 or $240,000. And I said at $240,000, by the time construction starts in 2015, we might have enough money in permissive tax that the county's been collecting, because at that point, we had about $110,000 that we can use for this project. You know, it's building up, we get about $60,000 to $80,000 a year that's from license plate renewals, it goes straight to the county, and we can only use it for thoroughfares in and out of Macedonia. We can't use it for developments or side streets or anything, it's gotta be marked, you know,
Now,
in and out egress.
now Scott, going back when Martin was still here and everything, we all voted to go on with this widening and the phases and the projects and everything, so that they could go out for that grant.
Right.
Am I right? Because
Oh, yeah.
there's minutes to
If you look at the
reflect that.
minutes, when they sold us that project, we were literally gonna have about $100,000 in that project, you know, and so it was a no-brainer, because he was gonna get, you know, 3 sources of funding: federal grant, issue 1 money, AMAX money, you know, he had this whole bowl of grants that it would be foolish to say, we don't wanna do this project, because if you're gonna get this checklist of 3 grants, and it was gonna total, you know, 3 point something million, and our end of it is like 10%, absolutely. So then we paid the engineering up front to get it done, and then so you pay the $110,000 in engineering, and then by that, the train starts, and then it's like, oh, well, now we got the engineering, guess what, we don't have the grant.
Right.
So now what are you gonna do?
He
Put it on the
spoke here
bookshelf?
with us, remember, they broke it out, there was a map, and they broke everything out, and there's a video, Sylvia had these taped on her,
Yes.
these work sessions where he talked about that, where it would only cost us because they were supposed to do the grant. I say he needs to eat that.
The problem is that, you know, as, you know, 2, 3 years later, as these progress things go, people just don't realize what the initial change in
He
administration,
already
change
got
in
paid
staff.
for it, he already got paid to do it, and he
Oh, I
didn't do
know.
it, so that's just my opinion on it.
Well, they apparently did
I'm
apply
sorry,
for the
I-
grant. They applied for it, but very late in the, about 2 hours before the close, so they applied for it, but it was very
Makes you
late.
wonder how good the application is.
Well, okay.
At 110,000, I think they should have had like the best people on it.
That could have been an idea.
Nick Feeney.
Okay, so if we're looking at the total on this, the revenue side, our anticipated revenue in the coming year,
Where are we at now?
Anticipated,
Anticipated, we're going back
For the
somewhere now?
general fund, it
Yeah.
was, 10,853,358.
Okay, and then the other funds that we do have, obviously, the Family Recreation Center Fund and the street funds, all the park fund, we got all kinds of license taxes, you name it, specialized money. So our total estimate is gonna sit at
16,623,000.
16 million, right? And, but our major, the things that we have general capability to move around are in the
General fund,
general fund.
right, we're restricted to spend outside the,
So when you guys talked, you guys, Sylvia, you're talking about keeping, like, when we go into, we're gonna end, like we did the last time, try to look at staying at the 2.5?
Yes.
Okay,
And the 2.5,
You wanna follow along, and that's gonna be our next one,
the 2.5 is for the following reason.
here, Mike had a good point. He said that's when Mo Darvish changed the plan from 5 lanes to the two turn lanes, right?
2 lanes for the turn,
Yeah, do you remember that?
to save us money.
No.
But that's.
They did change the number of
Yeah,
lanes,
Yeah,
I remember
that's-
that.
they shrunk
That's
it.
when I freaked out. Right, in the corner.
Right, okay.
I'm not
And-
talking, sorry.
So, in
It's all in the
essence,
minutes, right?
if we're looking at the general fund revenue estimates, and if we try to stay with the 2.5, now let me explain the 2.5. When I went back and I looked at all of the numbers from '09 and '10, when we lost revenue, and we lost somewhere around 2.3 million during that period. That each year we lost about it was close to 1.2, but not quite there. And this should prevent us from ever having again a situation where we have to do layoffs if we have this kind of carryover, because we will not, even in the worst recession that we've had, we were only down a little over $1 million a year in our income tax revenue. So if we have a cushion of $2.5 million, that means that we shouldn't have to lay people off like we did in 2009 and 2010. So,
Well, Scott, I have a question for you. So, like if a department is hurting with crew, okay? And they're giving increases to the guys they have, doesn't that prevent us from being able to hire more people in the service department? If they're actually giving raises, in-house raises to these
Well,
people?
everything, just their whole budget goes up, and then if you decide to hire someone else, you're gonna have to still add that extra person on. It's gonna probably cost you, $50,000-$60,000 a year by the time healthcare is paid.
Right,
Right.
so, are you aware of, everybody aware that there was some raises given?
Yeah, I did talk to Scott about that, there were merit raises given on top of the general across the board 2% raises that were given earlier in the year. Or actually, they were given as part of the agreement with the unions that everybody was going to get a 2%
Well,
bump.
they got the 2% and then they, how many people got raises?
Well, everybody across the
Three or four,
board.
no, what, all the department heads.
Right, okay. Merit raises, how many, we talked about that earlier.
I don't know the number, most of the department heads and maybe just the junior staff underneath the department heads, so there might be as many as a dozen.
So 12 people got raises, like $100 a piece, right?
No, it would've been more, it's 2% of their midpoint, so if they're, of their wages, so if they're above the midpoint, say how the payroll ordinance is,
Right.
it's 8, 10, and 12,
Mhm.
low, middle. Well, if you're making $12 an hour, just say, and your midpoint's $10, you don't get 2% of $12, you get 2% of the $10.
Right.
So no matter how much you make, it's always 10% of the midpoint. So
Okay.
even if you're below the midpoint, if you're only making $8, you're not getting 2% 16 cents, you're getting 2% of the $10, your midpoint range.
Do we have a list of all these people that got raises and exactly how much raise they all got?
Sure, I can get that.
Okay, I would like that. Would you like that? Would anybody else like it? I would like
I'd be
it.
interested.
Yes.
What were the ranges of these percentages?
Almost everybody got a 2, they were capped at 2.
Those would be the merit raises you're talking about?
Right.
Of the 12 or of everybody?
The ones that I saw that were, because it was the day I came back, it was payroll day, and Patty had them, and then, so I talked to her about it, and I said, actually, she was being evaluated as well as Janelle, and Janelle, the mayor did Janelle's evaluation, and I said, I would rather I do my own department's evaluation, I work with them daily, I know their work habits, their ethics, and so then he said, well, submit it to HR, and then I said, Mayor, you still have to sign off on my approval, you can squash it no matter what. So then he relented and went to HR, I gave him that evaluation, and then he signed off on it, and so I don't have the figures for everybody that got the merit raises off the top of my head. I know there was a stack, and I'm assuming it's all the department heads and the juniors below them, so Tim Black would be the junior, would be Brian Ripley, then, and anybody that's not in the union.
Selinsky maybe, that kind of thing.
Selinsky's in the union.
Okay.
So then it would be Yakupovich and
I got it.
possibly Sonia and possibly, Chief Golden.
All right.
and,
Look at my
Well,
face.
if everybody gets a raise, it doesn't seem much like a merit raise. but that's-
Well, let me put it this way.
But why did they get them? I don't understand it. We just gave them 2% one year, 3% another year. I don't understand where these raises came from and why.
Well, the facts are that someone who got an additional raise this year would be in the range of 4%,
Right.
which is way above the line that we were planning for. But, there aren't that many people, it sounds like. So
Right.
it was probably 10, 12,000 total out of the budget.
Right,
Now, the raises that we've been giving, I think the numbers we had last year, it's about 100 and. what was
for
it?
everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, even unions, yeah, I think it was about 110 if I remember.
110, yes. So in essence, every year and going on, we're adding 110 to the operational costs. So every time we do that, and then we add the bump to just the
Pension,
pension and all that stuff, it's a big jump.
Are they allowed to give raises like that without council's approval?
There was an ordinance passed about 6 years ago that gave the mayor rights to give merit raises. He had
Without
asked for
council
that.
approval.
Yeah, it may have been even longer than that. Maybe we need to revisit that.
Yeah, I think so, I mean, because it could just keep going on and on and on, and
Well, it's
and
on,
then they want people in their departments, and, they don't, I mean, I don't think it's right.
well, if your point is, Rita, that the more that you give raises, the more expensive the entire process is, and then that cuts back on who can be hired, that's correct. Because the revenues this year are better than last year, but truthfully,
Well,
that's,
we got roads that need to be fixed.
well, absolutely.
That money can go to, a ceiling for, sealing a road or something, I don't know.
The
I
roof.
mean, I'm sorry, I think enough's enough, I mean, these, to me, I think the payroll is awesome here, and it just keeps getting better and better and better, and I don't think it's right, I don't.
Okay. So fundamentally, Scott, you're looking at a 2.5 million carryover again, which is,
Where do we go?
if you wanna just
Where do you want us?
point to where you wanna talk about that.
Well, like I said, it drives, when we budget for operations, and then we know how much we have left to
You wanna
spend.
tell us where you're at? So
It would be, the yellow page right before the summary, actually in the capital section.
My capital section is blank.
Is it?
That must mean that I'm not allowed to spend any.
Right, it could be that you're the one who's,
Yeah, how come there isn't anything in capital, I guess we're not gonna.
Yeah,
do
the yellow
capital.
page right
I'm
here.
voting.
You
Here,
have
I got
that?
it.
Oh, you
I
didn't-
don't have the
you
yellow
didn't get
page,
that.
but I have the other page, which is.
You got the yellow pages? Okay.
Got it.
Okay. Well, this was the list that was compiled from everyone's capital list, and we start off with Jim Digitano, 8,500 for the painting and jail area, and on down. Now, the highlight areas, the bolden areas, is what I assumed, and again, council will have to make the decisions. What I did is just for sake of compiling this budgeted draft, I took the stormwater, the full depth repairs, everything in Bolden, the heat pumps that will finish the rest of the building, crack sealer for the roads, and then, again, there's the widening for Route 82. And the second half of the city hall roof, we put $100,000 away last year. It was said to be maybe 2.25 this year. We didn't get a firm quote. So when you take all that whole list, it comes out to $1,459,000. And the current budget that I have that's gonna be transferred over there, which you'd see in the expense part, was $905,000. So if we did everything, the current budget, the things that I picked out were $905,000. And my transfer on the side, the far right side, was $893,000. So there's a shortfall there if we, of only, $12,000. Yeah, we can even add, and then again, that's so flexible as far as how these things are gonna come out. But if we did all the projects, we would be, short, how much, let's see, total requested was $554. So if we did everything that everybody wanted, we would need to spend another $554,800. So that's why, obviously, I didn't pick out anything. And again, that's kind of the menu, pick and choose. But good news is that, if we know, even if you even entertained that all these things were gonna be actually utilized, and we would be 554 short, but there's areas in the general fund through the mayor's budget, if you go back to the expense portion of it, and on page 4, he wanted to go ahead and he wanted to double the amount of retainers for the legal department in 2015. It's on page 3, and then the ending is page 4 in the expense section. So if you look under legal, this is what he requested. He wants $155,000 restored to the legal department, and then an additional $176,000 in legal fees. That's the contract services that we're getting. Now, this year, on the
Does
left.
that include the prosecutor?
No.
Nope.
So he's requesting, if you turn the whole page, the $331,596.
Does that include the prosecutor?
No. Prosecutors under mayor's court.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
another 100,000.
Yes,
Mhm.
I'm just under 100, yeah.
So, depending on how we
No,
fix the
no.
budget, 331
I
could
see.
be on the table.
Well, we have a lot of potential savings then in this area.
There's a road there somewhere.
There's a road in
You
there.
don't know where it goes to, but it's a road.
Definitely a road.
Well, the road reports are on in the expense tab.
I spoke of, I don't know if you guys, I think I spoke to Sylvia,
Mhm.
The roads are in,
about
Where are you at now?
legal,
Yeah.
about us having, our own attorney now on council.
Yes.
Okay.
Appropriating money, and so that'll take away from a lot of this, legal that,
Well, even if we give ourselves 25,000 for that, which is
No,
probably
it's-
reasonable.
well, you figured, I think, I asked somebody, it's like say $140 an hour. So
Yeah.
you figure two council
Well,
meetings.
150, yeah.
Right, so somewhere around there, you take that, but you figure 3 hours each council meeting.
Uh-huh.
So we put a figure in there, you know what I mean? And we do it, we only do one meeting a month on certain ones. So,
Right.
but you still
So
take
there's
that,
a-
yeah, you
yeah.
take that figure and figure out how much we can actually put in. But I think personally, I wouldn't mind for once having a legal department that I can actually go to and talk to.
well, the law director at Council makes $24,000 a year, and he'd probably drive up here for.
For less. Okay, so,
That's just I wanna do that, and also,
Yes. I understand.
and also get some help. Cause, with council.
This is, remember, this is the mayor's proposal.
Yeah, I know that,
Right, well, we
I
will
know
work on
that,
it.
but I wanna tweak it.
Yes,
Well,
I
we'll
understand.
We'll wait and talk to the mayor. Yeah,
Yes,
then we'll.
we will tweak it.
Well, council can do,
Yes, we can. We can.
council's council, right?
Right, I
We're
understand.
allowed to
We certainly
make
are.
suggestions.
No, we're allowed to make
So
decisions.
going back to that second page on the summary we just talked about, the general fund expenses then,
Okay,
we're at 12,209,000.
But you're in capital back in capital, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that yellow page again.
Okay, I'm
Just to
sorry.
finish up.
back to the yellow pages
All right,
here.
all right, so what are we talking about?
So when we kind of get a recap, our total expenses now are 12,209,
Mhm.
and our revenues are 10,800. So the expenses over revenues are 1,355,000, and then fully fund that capital would be the difference of that 554 to make 1,910,000. So that's why I don't think that we could fully fund those wish lists.
Hi.
How you doing?
Did you tell us if you was trying to bail someone out of jail?
Oh, here, I'll show you.
Thank
Been there, done it.
Okay, well, that was good. I'm glad to hear that.
And then the road projects
Got
that
that on tape.
for 2015 are estimated at $730,000, and those projects are under the expense tab.
Yeah.
And it's under his 5-year capital road plan, 2
Mhm.
pages, number 6. It's the second page past the pink one,
Yep.
this red.
All right, so,
And then he's saying these roads here, Airlane and Westwood, we're gonna get done, and that was funded. And
okay,
then-
wait, just a second. So we have the money for, Airlane and Westwood, it's
Right.
already in the budget next
Right.
year.
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And then these other 3 roads, Blueberry, Brookdale, and Meadow Lawn, yeah, that comes to $730,000.
Okay.
So that is gonna have priority over some things that we could possibly, for sure. And over the legal extravaganza we're talking here too. Let me ask this question about, because I talked to Mike Ladd this afternoon, and Mike Ladd told me that they were relooking at Westwood because they found out that they had 12 inches of asphalt on Westwood, which is extremely deep, by the way. And what he told me was that instead of having to do that, completely tear up and redo it, they might be able to do what they call a mill and fill
Yeah,
Yeah.
to take the top off and then repave. So he said that they're looking at all the roads over in the B streets too, on the theory that perhaps some of them may have fairly thick surfaces. And if that's the case, we can, for the amount of money the total amount we were talking, which was just around 730 plus 285, which would be around $1 million, we might be able to do more of these things. But he's already convinced that Westwood could be cheaper now because of a different strategy. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't tell us this last year,
I don't either.
because we did discuss this in detail all the way through
Because it's
the
more engineering.
spring and summers, but I'm just telling you, that's what he told me today.
I'll help you on that one.
Yes, so I am most interested in that because we have asked them many times just to look at these things and do the core samplings so we know precisely what we have to do in each one of these.
Well,
Okay.
just some miscellaneous things, like the Charter Review Commission, Josephine asked to put in $2,500 because of the average cost of advertising. And so when you look on page 1 of the expense to city council, you'll see that. And the other revisions in there were
And plus
a part-timer to assist her.
part-time assistant.
And then I added in the extra pension, you know, and I just based it on $12,000, maybe a $10 an hour person with 1,100 hours a year.
Yeah, I suggested that we get a part-timer in here. We seem to be still behind on the minutes and we have some other issues and,
Yeah, she didn't even put me in the Walter Drain.
oh, the Walter Drain
Whatever, yeah.
application process.
She put everybody, Mock is no longer on planning, and Mr. Hopkins is on planning, and she just completely excluded me out of the Walter Drain
I
for
see.
planning member.
Well, okay, so we'll count that as another point against the.
Obviously, I have it pulled up if anybody would like to see that.
Okay,
You didn't want to be down the drain anyways.
yeah, really, God. Okay, so if we look at getting back to the big picture, we cannot do every darn, $2 million worth of work in those capital projects. But we could do, the way this money is coming in at this point, we're likely to be able to do over $1 million, correct? Yeah.
Can I ask a question on the requested capital items, storm sewer, what is that all about? Stormwater, do we know?
That's, I'm sorry, no, that's the other time I was saying, here's a summary page, and so under expense tab, he's got it under,
NEORSD, isn't it?
Okay, which tab is that under?
it's under expense tab, I have it listed, and then,
Okay,
let's see what he's got.
speak of town, oh, I see it. Okay.
Where's the-
Okay, yeah, his service, he has a 2-page, email right after the Mike Ladd
Okay.
building thing. So he's, it would be on page 2, it just says stormwater, 140,000.
Right, I'm just curious.
Do we have any
List.
specifics on stormwater?
No, this is all I got from him, and then I put it in that Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, I see it, okay.
Now,
And he wants
how do we go
$2,000
back
for a can,
and,
he's gonna base on
Scott, how do you go back to,
2,000 for a can.
and find out what they actually pay for the stormwater when you have issues like this, that is supposed to be assessed in our actual payments that we're paying to that for stormwater
We're not
repairs?
paying,
What's that?
we're not paying them anything.
No, you mean talking about any ORC?
Yeah.
No, we weren't, that's still in the Supreme Court, so that has not been collected at this time. They have some money that was collected.
And we already paid the escrow.
You're right, that's an estimate. Okay,
So when they're never gonna do any of the repairs of money that they collected already?
Not unless you insist.
So the homeowner could actually call them and insist that they repair their storm waters.
no, I don't think so.
Yeah, they tell them.
Yeah.
They could try.
Okay, so let's just look at this. So the level of specificity that he gave to you was this level, which is stormwater 440,000. Now, we're showing the
What page are you
rebids.
on, Sandy?
I'm actually
Expenses,
under expenses, and we're close to, let's see, the last
5 pages from the pink one,
5 pages from pink,
back,
behind pink.
yeah.
Behind the page. Thank you.
under expenses. So it's a panoply of, if, this this is an area where there is potential for tons of expenditure, of course. Because not only do we have the roads, which, as we were indicating, we're somewhere, if we look at what we've already allocated from this past year and what we would plan to do next year, we have some other issues here. The roof on this building, we were allocating half of it last year and half of it this year, right? That was 100,000 this year also?
Yes.
But we didn't start construction yet. or-
No,
No.
no.
So we kinda have to finish that if we're ready.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do it,
Right.
I mean, there's no
Yeah.
question. Couple of other things. We already have allocated the money for Sugar Bush to remove the trees
Mhm.
this year. We just did it in the past meeting. Seasonal parks, 6 men at $9 an hour. Okay.
That's not in capital, and I went ahead and I put it in there, you can take it out and reduce that.
No, I think they should use seasonals.
Okay.
How many do we have this year?
I don't know, the only time I saw them when they were working on something was at the rec center and those ugly oat stalks that were there. They had probably 5 or 6 kids plus, I think, arborist.
Now, I can tell you this, the seasonal, because they are minors, there's laws, and they're not allowed to operate heavy equipment. So they're not allowed to cut grass. I think they get in trouble if they use a weed whacker, you know what I mean? There's a lot of things they cannot do, so,
Why don't we get kids that are old enough and aren't minors, like?
well, you need to hire people
I
that,
understand.
you know,
So
so,
older, you know, like the
College
college
kids.
students, I know I talked to, a couple of the trustees over here, and they're talking about they hire college students.
right, well, I know, and then see, too, that the reason why the county has provided this program for young children that are 15, 16, high school
Okay,
kids
high
to
school
go to
level.
work and everything, you know, because just like Brooke, that's how Brooke came here and signed up down here,
Okay.
downstairs in the basement, and that's how she got a job at Goodwill. She
Okay.
could've got a job inside City Hall, but I said absolutely not, I wanted her, I had her go,
Okay.
and she chose Goodwill, and that's how Brooke got her job at Goodwill, is through the county, that the city offered
got
through
it.
summer programs for high school students,
Okay.
and it gives them a work ethics, and so that's how,
I don't have a problem with high school students
but in
except,
seasonal with this, with
This
cutting grass,
is-
I'm just saying, there's laws and these kids aren't allowed to
The
use
seasonal-
well, then we
lawnmowers or
shouldn't use
nothing.
them for
The
this.
seasonal that
Exactly.
he hired this year running the mowers were not 16 years old.
Okay, yes, I saw the people, they were definitely not 15.
Were they operating lawnmowers and stuff? They were, huh? Oh, wow, cause I heard that they weren't allowed to.
This
Well,
year
but they were-
They're not,
they weren't minors.
they're not high school kids.
Yeah, they're people that were hired, and
The rec center guy told me that they were all high school kids.
They aren't hired by the rec center.
The,
That's a-
the
those are
people
different
that
people.
work for the,
Those are-
by the Parks
All
and
right,
Rec.
All right, let's just move
No
on.
good thing here. Okay, let's just look at this in terms of, we need more specificity on stormwater, exactly what we're talking about here. I do know that we agreed on the heat pumps, we were gonna get the building refit with the heat pumps. On the sign shop, have we looked at contracting out that function?
No, I haven't. That's not in this current budget, I didn't, like I said, the only thing bold is part of
Okay,
capital.
all right.
Well, I know one thing, the signs that they're planning on putting down by the railroad, that the railroad's supposed to pay for, there's no way that stuff costs no $5,000. $4,000 to $5,000 they're saying it's gonna cost, it doesn't cost that much money for that stuff.
Okay, so looking at this, let's get a number we wanna aim at in terms of capital expenditures so that we stay with the 2.5 million carryover.
That's where I'm at
Okay.
893.
Okay,
But that doesn't include but then that doesn't include the 730 that we were asking.
Yeah, it
for.
would, it would, yep.
Okay, so basically, we can do the capital, the projects that are in bold, plus the roads, but not, and we've already got the first two roads, Air Lane and Westwood, budgeted.
Right.
So right now, we're able to do all those things and the roads.
Right.
Let's go home.
Yes,
Especially, you know, if we save 200,000 on legal, let's, you
we
take
could
that
add a few more of
730.
these
Yeah.
projects.
Well, I understand, but that's, but I'm just saying, to be able to do 5 roads, it sounds
Yeah, that's a
like it's-
tremendous
Yeah,
step
that's
forward.
pretty, makes me pretty happy.
Well, we need to do them because we're in serious difficulty with the roads in general. Although, another point, Mid-Ohio Asphalt was awarded the contract today for the full depth repairs. Mr. DiGatano did go back and ask for the full depth repairs to be taken out of that structure that it was in the summer. And when we didn't do West Lane and Air Lane, they also, Westwood and Air Lane, they also had the full depth repairs that he had noted. And that contract went void down the drain, as you know. And however, DiGatano went back, did bid out the full depth repair number, which was, he said was 65, I think, is what they came back with in the bid.
Mhm.
He says he has a list. I asked for him to send us an email.
He's gonna do full depth repairs starting in November.
I don't know when he's doing them. He can do them whenever he can do them, but he's got the contracts to do them, that's what I'm saying. He can, the contract's been awarded.
As long as the asphalt plant's open, they'll run it.
How long do they keep open?
Just depends on the weather. They'll open and close it sometimes, depending if they have a stretch of hot weather in November, they'll open it back up for a week, you know, if they know the
Okay.
temperature's above 65, 70.
Right, I know. So it's potential that we will get some of these full depth repairs done. Some of them are on the streets over in the B area. And some of them are on like Ledgeview and some of these other streets over here off of Tanglewood. So we could see some improvement in those areas. Okay, but that's been awarded, just so you're aware.
Is that including at Westwood?
No, Westwood and Air Lane were combined together along with the full depth repairs. For that, basically, it took forever to do it this summer, and then when we got to the September opening, they said they didn't wanna do them because the bids were too high. What's happened is, DiGatano detached the full depth repairs out of there and redid it.
Yeah, but Westwood was full depth repair and so was Airland.
I understand, no, those were, what do they call them?
Westwood would definitely was.
The mill and fill.
No, it wasn't Mill and Fill, it
No,
was.
they did, that's just.
They did a complete replacement of the roadway. They went down, in other words, they were thinking they're gonna dig down and pull out it all out.
The base.
Yes.
That's full depth repair.
Yeah, that's full
Well,
depth
but it's,
repair.
the full depth repairs that Jim was talking about are sections of roads,
Yeah.
not the whole.
Yeah.
So, what I'm telling you is, the Westwood, I was just told by, Mike Ladd today, may in fact end up with a mill and fill and not a full depth repair, all the way across. So that could be, make that much cheaper.
That's amazing, it was 12 inches of asphalt on there, that's a lot. That's what you said, didn't you?
Yes, that's what
I
he
mean,
told
so,
me.
I mean, that's what happens when they do a core sample, they go down there and.
Yes, well, I thought the core sample had been done, but apparently it had not, because this is new news to me. I asked them several times in July
God, this
and
is-
August, did they do the core samples? And I never got a real answer on that, but they hadn't done it as of the beginning of August, I know that. So now I think we're at the point where this is going to be a very, in other words, if we just look at the roads as a high priority here, we should be able to take care of quite a few, not only of the full road repairs, but some of the full depths too.
I got a phone call today, this week on, Ledge Acres down below, like, the older part of Ledge Acres
Okay.
and Skyland.
Right, I got it.
A lot of neighbors are complaining about that, and then I also got a voice message from somebody who didn't leave a number. They left me a voice message about this, parking lot out here.
Oh, I got that too.
Did you get that
same
too?
one?
I don't know who it was, but I got this.
No, they didn't give their name.
They didn't
just-
give their
They had
name,
Concerned
so,
citizen,
I think
yeah.
they work for the city, whoever it was. They had too much information.
They did, indeed.
well,
What was wrong with
I
that?
asked DiGatano to please provide me with the quotes.
Said only one quote was gotten, they didn't do some,
Yeah,
He
how would we
told me
know that?
something different, he told me that there was quotes, he said he got a couple of them or something like that. He was gonna put them in my box,
Okay.
because,
Well,
I didn't
then
tell
you're
him that
right.
I received I didn't tell him I received a voice message, because it just,
Well,
Yeah.
everybody got it, I think, because he was calling and very specifically talking about the failure to crack seal.
That's it.
How much was that job?
Forget what he said.
No.
I don't think he did say
Well,
that.
this person quoted the job amount, it was something like 7,500 to 8,000.
That's what I was thinking, but I don't.
But he said that it was deficient in that they only did a sealer and they didn't crack seal.
Oh,
And, yeah,
so on this mid-Ohio, do we know how many roads are gonna be, how many roads they're doing?
he says he's sending us a list. right?
Okay,
So as soon as I get the list, I'll be sending it to you.
so
I've
this-
been asking for that list for months.
if you,
Can I interrupt for a minute?
Yeah.
I understand that the logic between a 250 carryover, a 2.5 carryover,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I know that as we've gotten through this year, and I think we think taxes are gonna go good again.
I believe they will.
Do you think that I'm not suggesting that we go crazy, but do you think we could reasonably go with less of a carryover and do more roads? I'm not trying to sound like
Well,
council people aren't here, but
I think what they need to do, I don't think we have a solid understanding because of one thing. The net profits tax is really lifting us this year.
sure.
And my own opinion is that possibly, just possibly, they were waiting for the expiration of the 0.25% and decided not to declare last year because it would be more expensive to declare profits last year. This year, now that we're back to 2%, it could be you've got some built-up profits that got reported this year because now it's at 2%. So I think it's potentially not going to be quite as good, but I think we can tell next year
into May, yeah.
into May.
which means it's gonna level out,
Yeah,
it's gonna level out.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Mhm.
So, but I was thinking maybe going down to 2, I wasn't thinking going crazy, that was my
well,
only question.
the only thing I would say is, let me go back to the numbers, but 2.5 seemed like a nice number. We could potentially go down to 2.3, add another couple $100,000, and if we fix the problem with the legal department request here, we could potentially roll even more money into there, so we could talk about, because what they're asking for is basically a total of 400,000.
3 something.
No, but I mean, what if you added, what was the number?
331,
331
506.
plus 100,000 for the prosecutor.
Right, you always have to consider the process.
So, yeah, so it's 431.
Yeah, I just left the prosecutor out into.
Yeah, well, that's because they're in the other
Right.
thing.
I understand, but that's part of the legal.
Well, I agree with that, I'm just saying that there's a potential gold mine in there already. So I don't know that we have to go down. The other issue is, where's that carryover